instead of, if you want to grab that mic and grab this seat, instead of us just reading a bio off a sheet of paper, I think it'd be much better if everybody got a chance to know you from you. So it'd be great if before we get into the university, the community, and going forward, I think the people that don't know you, it'd be great for you to just tell your story, your background, who you are, and how you got to this chair today.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jeff, and thank you for everyone coming out to this wonderful Excel event. I was hoping that Jeff wouldn't ask me to sing some jazz because you wouldn't want to hear that.
We're just getting started.
So I'll give the advance warning not to do that. I may be able to dance, not anything you'd want to see, but singing.
We have video.
But let me tell you a little bit about myself and what brings me to Akron. So I guess a number of things. I am one who is very international in nature. If you go back over the last 30 years, I've spent 12 years living in Japan, and so I'm actually fluent in Japanese, speak, read, write, published in Japanese, and have done a lot of things in Japan actually. I've spent time in a professional capacity in South Korea, in the Philippines. If you've ever wanted to live on a tropical island, I lived on the island of Saipan out in the Western Pacific, part of the United States actually, for over a year, involved in a trial out there. I've practiced law in Florida, went to law school in Philadelphia, got my undergraduate degrees from the University of Utah and Salt Lake City. I've spent some time at the University of Wyoming prior to coming to Akron 2 years ago. Kicked off my academic career actually in Tokyo, working for the branch campus of Temple University. They have a 3,000 student campus. There I originally went to teach international law, Japanese law, intellectual property law, and the like. And about a year into my adventure with Temple Japan, I woke up one day and they'd made me associate dean of the campus over all of our graduate programs. About a year later, I woke up and they'd made me provost of the campus, and I was running the day-to-day of our undergraduate program, 10 majors there. And they decided I wasn't busy enough, and so they threw the general counsel moniker and responsibilities on to boot. So from a professional standpoint, I have kind of a diverse background in business and law and in education as well. People ask me why I'm in education. And I'll tell you, it's all about the students. I could step away from this chair tomorrow and be in the classroom, and I would be excited and I would be happy. In fact, I'll be in the classroom again next Monday, actually, in South Korea. So one of the things I'm doing in the first 30 days of my tenure as interim president is keeping a commitment to my students. Using my connections in Asia, put together a 2-country, 3-city, 4-week study abroad program in Asia, and to save costs and to guide and direct the students, I was teed up to teach international negotiations for the first 2 weeks in Japan, international contract drafting for the first 2 weeks in South Korea, and I have been to be able to make this work, doing 20-hour days and commuting back and forth between Asia. So I kicked things off with a full week here in Akron with my presidency, and then I spent 72 hours in Asia, 72 hours here in Akron, a week in Asia, flew back in 5:30 a.m. on Monday for meetings all day Monday. I fly out to South Korea. I called in a favor, and I'm having somebody substitute teach my class here for the first week, so I can be here with you tonight and enjoying your company, and I'll fly back to Korea for a week, and then I'm back. So a little bit of my adventure. On a personal note, I'm a father of 4 actually, and a grandfather of 2. And if you look at me, you probably think I'm 22. It's because I run so fast, I outrun jet lag and age at the same time. And it's all about that, absolutely. So I'm looking forward to getting to work with all of you and answering your questions and spending some time with Jeff tonight. I want to put a plug in for the Excel Center. I'm all about experiential learning and education and hands-on. I've made that a part of my classroom. I think there's no greater service that we can do for our students than to provide them with hands-on practical experience. And when we can combine students and faculty and the community in that endeavor, I think we all need to work together to educate the future leaders of Akron, the future leaders of Ohio, of the nation, and hopefully of the world. And leading can be within the community, it can be within the home, it can be within the workplace. All of those things are so important to the fabric of our society. And it's truly a privilege and an honor to be able to serve the students at the University of Akron, be able to work hand in hand with the faculty. And I'm here to listen and to serve at your pleasure, and I look forward to speaking with you tonight.
Thank you very, very much, and we're glad to have you in more ways than one. So we'll start at the top and kind of scope down to the mission and the opportunities at hand here. I probably haven't shared this with the rest of the group, but over the last year, I've been working with a lot of mayors, different cities that had a similar mission to ours. Between academia, business, nonprofit, the city itself, they're trying to weave their future together and establish their brand, frankly. That's important. We want people to want to come live in Akron. We don't want our talent to leave. We want them to create their companies, their jobs here, et cetera. So it's important to take that into account. I recently did the same thing with Raleigh, with the city of Raleigh, the university, the mayor there. We did that in Green Bay, Wisconsin. We did that in Ontario, California. So I had a chance to see a lot of cities attacking the same issues we have. What are the relationships, responsibilities, and roles of all the entities within each of these communities? But each of them is attacking, they have a different problem or a different opportunity. So let's start with the lay of the land. I think you've been in Akron a couple years now, 2 years?
Yeah, just about 2 years.
Okay, is that right? So to be fair, you've only had 2 years. You haven't been here a long time. But your perception of a starting point of where we are in the city and the university, instead of listing the problems, I want to list the opportunities. What do you see as the areas of focus for, in the politics, they do a 100-day report. So whatever yours is going to be in 6 months from now, what are the things that you're thinking we need to start addressing first, and where are opportunities for improvement? I just want to get your assessment of your starting point, what the city of Akron's like, what we need to focus on in the university.
Well, it's very interesting having moved to Akron 2 years ago and having lived around the world as the community came in and embraced me as dean of the School of Law. I had the opportunity to get out and meet with a lot of people. During my first month here in the community, I participated in a one-day Leadership Akron experience where I got to go around the city and meet with a variety of individuals and really get an understanding of the rich history that we have here. But time and time again, as I moved here, everybody would ask me the question, why Akron? You've lived in Japan and you've been in Korea and you've been in the beautiful state of Wyoming and you've lived in Florida. Why in the world Akron? And one challenge that I think is an opportunity is helping people discover or maybe remember the great things that we have here in Akron. And one of the great things I've been able to do over the past couple of years is get out and talk to people, not only here in the community, the state, but the nation and the world as well about, why Akron? Why is Akron so wonderful? And I think one of the challenges that Akron faces, just like any other city, is people who live here rediscovering the city and understanding the magic and the charm that it's here. Another thing is really retaining that talent. That's part of the rediscovering. And then also attracting talent from outside and helping them. And I tell folks, where else in the United States can you find people as nice as the people here in Akron? As I drive around and look at the rich history and the architecture, it's really fascinating. We have National Park that's right on our doorstep. And for those that like the outdoors, being able to explore that, to get outside and take advantage of it. For sports enthusiasts, it's wonderful to have the golf, to have the Cavs, to have the Indians, to have, anything more charming than having a baseball team called the Rubber Ducks. How awesome is that, right? There's so much there in terms of attractiveness. And as I look at the University of Akron, that's what it is. It's the University of Akron. And one of the challenges, I think, particularly after the last couple of years, is helping people understand that, this is the community's university. And we represent the community. We need to be educating the community. We need to be in the schools. We need to be in the streets. We need to be working together with government. And I think oftentimes, at least from what I've heard, there's been a disconnect on several levels. Having read the newspaper over the last 2 years, maybe there's been a little bit of a disconnect between the university and the community as well. And so one of the things I think if you're talking 6 months out, what we need to be doing is, with this new leadership that you referred to, really building bridges and coming together. In my first 3 weeks, I've been able to sit down and have a wonderful conversation with the mayor about, how we can work together as the university and the community. I've been able to sit down and meet with supporters and donors and other stakeholders, not only within the university, but outside of the university. And, part of my 20-hour days have been, really looking to do that. And I sat down yesterday with the Akron Beacon Journal, their editorial board, for 90 minutes. And one of the questions I was asked by the editor was, what surprises you the most in your first 3 weeks? And I said, I've been here for 2 years and I understood, I think, the support of the community and the interest of the community in the University of Akron. But one thing that has really taken me aback is just the outpouring of support. I can tell you over the last 3 weeks, I've individually responded to about 300 emails that have been sent my way. Offers of assistance, outpouring of support, or maybe just letters of care. And now is really the opportunity, I think, to capitalize on that and help overcome some of the challenges, because as you know, from the papers and elsewhere, we have many challenges facing us. I think with a lot of the discord and the disharmony, and I don't want to look back, I want to look forward as we move forward. There's been a lot of clouding of the glasses. The glasses have fogged up. There's been some confusion in terms of what the University of Akron can do for not only traditional students, but non-traditional students. And so part of my mission in the first 6 months is to dust those glasses off, or to shine them up, and to be able to help people understand why Akron, why the University of Akron.
Let's talk about one of those challenges. I said at the beginning that the only way you solve problems is by having good teams and diverse and inclusive teams. But it's really hard for a team to work when we hit a point in our lives where teammates don't trust each other, right? Which is where we were somewhat during those last 2 years. In fact, you mentioned the Cavs. One of the cool revelations, I thought, was when the Cavs revealed that they had been having secret dance parties at Kevin Love's house that they didn't tell the media about, because they were trying to bond and learn to trust and understand and respect each other. So my first question is, are we going to have community dance parties? You already said you could dance. My question is, trust. We'll dance him off stage. This is a music venue, okay?
You're tempting me, Jeff.
Rebuilding trust is important right now so that we can all work together again. And let's forget how we got here. Looking back doesn't help us. Talk about what does it take to rebuild trust? How do we get the community and the surroundings to trust all of us again? We just lost that in many places. So let's just talk about, what do you think are the key elements to building trust amongst all of us?
Absolutely. So first, the Cavs and the dancing, all right? So I do have to admit that if you go out on YouTube, you will find a video of me line dancing with my law students within the first month.
Yeah, just give me a minute.
Of me of me coming to the law school. So if anybody wants to tempt me to dance with the students, like I said, I'm all about students. And hey, some of our faculty or board of trustee members, if you guys want to dance, I'll include you as well. But in all seriousness, taking the Cavs analogy, which is really interesting, you've got to remember that in the World Championship season, there was a coaching change midstream. And part of that coaching change...
Wow, a double analogy.
There we go. Part of that coaching change was to build trust, because I think there was an issue of trust with the players versus the coach. And you saw what happened when there was a change of that coach, and what came out of that. And I think a lot of that was trust, and it goes beyond the secret dance parties at Kevin Love. It was the players and the coach working together, rolling up their sleeves together, making some tough decisions and moving forward. One of the big things that we have to do is we have to create trust. And you will find out I'm very direct. One of my concerns is that we are in a hole in terms of our enrollment drop, that collectively we need to come together and make some tough temporary choices. I hope that with this coaching change, that people will understand that, at least as president, I'm here not to create a kingdom. I'm not here to govern or to rule. I'm here to support. I'm here to support students and making sure that, you know, they have a family-like, individualized, tailored experience at the University of Akron. And how do we do that? Well, we rally the troops. We get faculty to engage with our students one-on-one. We have opportunities like the Excel Center where we're bringing students in and faculty in and we're engaging them. We're creating opportunities where students can be mentored, where they can turn to us as faculty members and administrators and staff with not only academic challenges, but with personal challenges, and that we can move forward with them. One of my policies always has been with my students that they have my cell phone number, that they're able to text me, they're able to call me, they're able to email me. And people have looked at me and said, "You're absolutely crazy." But you know what? I would rather be available to my students so that they know that they've got somebody who's always got their back and to support them. And so I think part of the trust is getting the trust of the students. Another part is getting the trust of the faculty, and that's tough. That's tough when you walk into a situation where I think you haven't had trust, where there's a lot of uncertainty. We have a lot of interim positions at the university, and that kind of breeds uncertainty in terms of where are we going. There's talk, I know, of, okay, are there jobs that are going to be lost? What cuts are going to be out there? And part of that trust is getting everybody to come together collectively. And even at the end of the day, if we're not going to agree on what the solutions are, at least having the conversation in terms of how best to go forward. You know, the collective good, the collective thought definitely needs to be there. So at the end of the day, even if we don't agree, we've been able to all voice our opinions, we've been able to talk, and we've been able to understand that, hey, at least the person sitting here in this chair, whether I'm here for a day or whether I'm here for 3 months or 18 months, is here to support you. At the law school, that's what I've done. I've tried to do everything to sit in and talk to the faculty. When I came in, the law school was struggling. Enrollments were down significantly, over 20%. We were having retention issues. The legal education market was incredibly challenged. In fact, applications around the country are down by 50%. And I sat down with my faculty, and I'll do this, you know, with the faculty across campus, and I'll listen. You know, I have ideas about maybe what we can do and some ways that we can enhance, not necessarily change, but we can enhance things. And bringing that to the faculty and having the faculty say, hey, look, we understand the position that we're in. We're going to need to step up. We may need to make some sacrifices, but let's all do this together. And once you do that and you have that collective approach, you listen to folks, you respect folks, and you understand that, look, I'm going to try and support you to the extent that I can. It may not be within the first month or two, or even the first 6 months or a year, just because of the financial resources that might not be there. But hey, long term, we're in this together. I think it's that synergy and that discussion and really understanding this concept of not only faculty governance, which is incredibly important, but talking to the staff and talking to the contract professionals and the administrators, coming together, getting the opinions of the students. You will find me having town halls constantly, going around to the colleges to listen. That's what it's really all about, and I think that's where the trust starts.
Thanks, and I want to give you a chance to tell the community, well, let me sort of explain this because it put it in perspective for me. I do work with the White House and the State Department and other economic development initiatives, but we got a chance a couple weeks ago when I was in the White House that they actually recognized the work of the Excel Center and the University of Akron. So when President Obama did his proclamation for National Week of Making, we were recognized in that. And people asked me the same question they asked you. They said, Jeff, you're from Akron? I said, no. They said, you went to the University of Akron? I said, no. And they said, what's the deal? I said, first of all, you guys made me family. I'm a part of the community, and I really appreciate that very much. But I said, I just love this community. And Obama staff said, why? And I said the same thing you guys have heard me say many times, which I think I'm going to put on a T-shirt, which is that Akron is small enough to get things done, but big enough to make a difference. And I fundamentally believe that. That's why I'm here. That's why we're all here. Because you know what happens in Akron? Compliments to all of you. People show up in this town. We haven't had one meeting in this community where we said, we'd like to come talk to you from the Excel Center about how to put all of our efforts together in one big Akron University team. Not one time has anyone ever said no thanks. Compliments to this room. You guys show up and you're interested and you participate. We had a community council breakfast yesterday, and we had to keep bringing chairs in because members of this community came to the Excel breakfast from everywhere. So in thinking about that, I was proud to stand there, White House, and represent a community that I actually believe in, that actually participates and gets things done. So that being said, I'd love you to give a chance to tell all of the community, what do you need from them? We just had you talk about what you're going to do for everybody else. But how can everybody in this, how do we support the university and how do they support you? What do you need from our community to make this whole program and this university even more successful?
Great questions. What it's going to take is it really is going to take the support of everyone. And I've had a lot of emails from folks saying, let me help you out. Now, there's one principle and concept that I've learned since coming to Akron that I want to share with you. And I hope that it's not too personal, but I believe in being very open and very direct. Maybe sometimes I'm going to say too much, but I would rather people have more information than not. But I'm going to talk a little bit about an experience that I had with my youngest son. And my youngest son, as we came here to the Akron area, and we had signed the line on a house. That afternoon, as we were going to a local restaurant to celebrate, he beelined for the restroom not to come out.
Is this a Japanese food story by any chance?
It was a Japanese restaurant in Hudson, actually. So good guess. But he never even got to the food. James is his name. We found out that James has a very rare form of cancer called Ewing sarcoma. So for the first year of my time here in Akron, we were in the care of Akron Children's Hospital. And we have just such a wonderful resource here in the community. The doctors, the nurses, all the way down to the janitorial staff at Akron Children's are just truly angels. And I can tell you that was one of the most difficult times in my life, to watch my youngest son not only be hammered time and time again with chemotherapy and try and bounce back and all of the struggles that he had through that. But during that process, what we learned was, and by the way, James is a year removed from being cancer-free, and he's doing well, and we're thankful for every second of life. And it's put a different spin on life in many respects. But, one thing was really interesting, and the reason why I open up and share this story with you. As we moved into a community that we knew no one, absolutely no one, people would come up and they would find out about the struggle that we were having on a personal level, and they would say, anything that we can do to help, we would love to help. I was super impressed with the community who did not know us for the offers of assistance. Another thing that I learned was we had so many individuals that instead of just asking, they just did. Without even having us, because oftentimes, I was such in a stupor, I didn't know whether my son was going to live or die. I didn't know what challenge was going to hit us next. But it was those individuals that just stepped up and did without even asking that made such a difference. At the law school, for instance, I had a group of wonderful staff, some of whom are here, and faculty as well, who they just came up and said, Matt, every Wednesday night for the next 6 months, we have somebody bringing you dinner. Dinner will be in the fridge on Wednesday. Please take that home to your family. We had someone at our church community that understood that we were hampered because one of the parents needed to be with our son 24/7, and our other sons needed to get to different activities, that they would just show up randomly half an hour before we would take off and say, we're here to take your son. We would have people show up at our doorstep and do different things. And what I learned from that is it's just the doing. And I challenge each one of you just to do. As you see things that are out there, please, please just do. And what is that? I mean, it could be a little thing. It could be showing up to an Akron Zips football game and packing the stadium to show the support of the team. Absolutely. And I can tell you, I mean, one of the surprises that we had, now of course coming from a different university, was the stadium would be packed on Saturdays, and I would show up at an Akron Zips football game, and the first time, frankly, I went to an Akron Zips football game, I thought that I had the time wrong. Because there was no traffic, I could find a parking space, and when I went inside the stadium, nobody was there. And it was 15 minutes before the game. And I'm sitting here thinking, you've got such a valuable resource here in the community, and what a great way to have spirit. We need to pack the stadium. And whether it's football or whether it's soccer, whether it's baseball, had the baseball stadium have been packed, maybe times would be different, right, along those lines. And so, just do it, right? To borrow the Nike phrase, I mean, just go out and do it. As we're looking out there, if you hear a conversation in the community where they're talking about, you've got a youngster or you've got an oldster or somebody who's wise, talking about pursuing an education, please, please open your mouth and talk about the University of Akron being the destination for them. If you hear someone who is talking bad about Akron, just do it. Talk about all the great things that are going on here in Akron. As you're looking at things and maybe, you've hit the lottery or you look down in your wallet and you found an extra $20, think about the student that you can help. That struggling student that you can help through scholarships. Just go out and do it. Now, one of the things that I'm going to do as president is I'm all about communicating, and I'm going, and moving forward. And so I'll communicate. And so one of my upcoming communications will have some ideas about how people can help. But there are so many things that are there. Being here tonight, it helps. Internships. If you own a business, it could be a small business, it could be a big business. Think about taking one of our students as an intern. The Excel Center and a lot of the initiatives that they have undertaken. I mean, Jeff and I were talking earlier this week, and really the Excel Center has been up and running only since March, not last July, right?
Yeah.
It's been up and running since March. And along those lines, if you think about it, right, if I'm doing my math, we're talking 4 or 5 months. Hey, this is just the beginning, right? Think about ways that you can contribute, and it could be ideas. It could be the internship. It could be spreading the word. It could be writing op-eds to the newspaper. The Akron Beacon Journal, I'm sure they're more than happy to publish good news, right? In fact, thank you, Professor Cole, for the good news this morning and the letters to the editor. Kudos. Hats off. If I had a hat, I would do that. If you haven't checked it out, go ahead and check that out as well. But, talk to the reporters. The Devil Strip, they love publishing great news about Akron. Talk to them. Talk about, the non-traditional thing. Anything that you can do. And you know what? If you've got great ideas, please, my door is always open. Hit us with the great ideas. But what I learned from James's experience is you have so much to contribute as a community. If you just step up and do it without even asking, that's a great thing. When you ask, beware, because I've got things that I can ask you specifically to do. But look around you. Find ways to do that. Your community service for this next year, as we're looking to dig ourselves out of a hole in terms of our enrollment and some other stuff, we really need the entire community to step up. And for those of you that are with the university, please talk to your colleagues, and let's talk about ways that we can come together and maybe reduce expenses temporarily. We can find ways to generate new revenue, innovative ideas, and we can come together, because what I've seen at the law school side, really you can work some magic, and it can be done in a short period of time, but it requires a team effort to get it done.
Thank you very much. Before, we know you have another engagement. I'm going to give you 2 closing questions. But before I do that, I would really like to emphasize 2 things you said that were really important. One, which is who we're here to serve, why we're all here. And I know you know this, but the most important job you'll ever have is not president, it's parent, right? And to that degree, we are all parents of this community. It's our job to raise this community and to raise everybody in it, right? We're really all here to serve James in a way. because that's the future of the city, of the university, of hopefully the world. We'll create some world leaders here. But as I think about that, when you talked about everybody stepping up, everybody in here, sometimes people look and they think, I'm just one person, what can I do, right? And problems are big and I'm small. That is never true. And I just want to make sure that we never lose sight of who we're here to serve, which is the next generation of Akron, our students, our youth. I mean, we're here to serve everybody, but specifically, that's our product at the university, is we create the next generation of leaders. So everybody can contribute to that. Before I came over here today, literally, I was in my office doing a life mentoring session with a local, is she at Hoban? A local Gracie, a local high school student who called me and said, Mr. Hoffman, I'm trying to describe my future plans to my parents for college and beyond, and we don't agree on anything. Could I just have an hour of your time? So before coming over here, just that time, it costs not a dime, guys, so don't say I can't help because I can't afford to. I just spent an hour with a young student talking about how to talk to her parents about her future and her life. Everybody in here can do that. We are the parents of this community in doing that. 2 weeks ago, we did an event. I did an event in Ferguson, Missouri. That event was called Hope, Healing, and Hiring, about how to rebuild communities from within. But there was a group of 9 young Bucktel High School kids that had come over to the Excel Center wanting some mentorship and guidance as well. And I was getting ready to go to Ferguson to do this, and we just took them along. We took them to Ferguson for the experience. What that resulted in was the event, Ferguson 1000, in return is coming to Northeast Ohio. So they're bringing their whole national event with a lot of power behind it. They're repaying us by coming here to do that. But my point is, every one of us can do that. Bring those kids to work. Take them on something you're doing. Expose them to your life, your decision-making, your environment. Bring them on this campus. We do that all the time. When people want to meet with me, somehow conveniently, the meeting is always on the campus of the University of Akron. So we walk somewhere and say, let us show you our assets here. So all of us have that responsibility for raising our community and parenting it. That's the most important legacy we'll ever leave. We know you have another engagement. We really appreciate your time. I'm going to leave you with 2 things. I'd like you to tell us what keeps you up at night. The answer cannot be Japanese food. And then we'd like you to tell us what you're most excited about, in that order.
Oh, so what keeps me up at night? It's probably the 500 emails that I have to answer every day. Actually, let me rephrase that I have the privilege of answering every day. I'm actually a very sound sleeper. I maximize the sleep that I get, but there's so much to do. There's so much opportunity. There's so much to accomplish here. Don't ever discount Akron. Don't ever discount yourself. Each one of you has such value to add. And, Jeff, you couldn't have put it any better in terms of being parents of the community, because that's exactly what our role and our responsibility is. And at the end of the day, if you think back about, what matters the most, and I had somebody ask me this question last night. I was helping late at night move somebody into their house in Cuyahoga Falls. And, at the end, I was asked, what keeps you motivated? And it was that. It was like really going out and trying to serve others. So if anything keeps me up at night besides emails, it's thinking, really, what can we do to serve others? How can we solve the problems? How can we kind of generate the trust and collectively come together? So, that's really what it was. Second part of the question?
What are you most excited about moving into this new role?
What am I most excited about? Really, it's being able to go out and shout from the rooftops about how great Akron is and how great the University of Akron is. Over the last 2 years, I've had a great time doing that on the law school stage. It's been phenomenal to see what's happened. The University of Akron School of Law, our enrollment was up by 30% last year. This year, our applications are up by 25%. We've actually doubled the number of students that we rejected. Our class looks like it's going to be up another 10 to 15% this year. And I'm looking forward to doing that on a broader scale. One of the things that I'm planning on doing is getting around and meeting personally every single principal in the area, meeting with guidance counselors. I've talked to our admissions team about getting me in and having me talk to high schoolers. There's nothing more that I love to do than to mentor and guide and to talk about the things that I didn't know when I was a high schooler, that I still don't even know today, and to try and discover those things that are out there. And so I'm so excited to get out and champion the University of Akron in this championship year with the Cavs, maybe even the Indians. And with the coaching change, who knows? Maybe we'll see another champion here at the University of Akron here within the next couple of years.
Thank you so much. I would like to send you off with some energy, so stand up.
I get to dance?
Everybody else stand
No.
up. We just want you to lead us on a count of 1, 2, 3, go Zips, so that you leave on a burst of energy from us. So you do it, man.
All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, go Zips! Thank you all.
Thank you so much.